Donica, all that you feel is the thunder of your heart racing. The rhythm of it matching the sounds of the tube trains rushing like millipedes beneath the surface of London. And you're running. You are human, staggering down the tube tunnel. And then you see nothing but darkness. And then blinding red. You snap from your reverie, as if overcome by shock from the sight that you now behold before you. This Nosferatu, hanging upside down, bound from the ceiling by a chain, its throat torn completely open, and in blood upon the floor, one name, Ripper. The whir of petrol generators keeping the mainframe going. And you think that that rhythm might stop from the sight of this horror. What do you do?
He's definitely surprised and afraid. He would look at it, the body and the hanging and the chains and the blood and everything like that, and would look all around for footprints. He would think there'd be something if there's so much blood. He's gone into survival mode, and he's kind of just and he's shaking it a little bit, but he's also analytical enough that he goes looking in case the threat is still here.
And that's just the thing, Donica. If there was so much blood, but there isn't. In fact, the only blood that you can see is the amount used to daub the name Ripper upon the floor, and a very, very slow trickle from the neck. There should be much, much more.
That's confusing. I guess he would just look into the corners of the room, make sure there's no one in here. I don't know, look around to make sure that he's safe before he approaches the body.
Yeah, you. This room, it's starkly lit. The gentle whirring noises of the mainframes that surround you are all that you can really hear. And the corners of the room are somewhat shadowed, and you get the impression, that feeling on the back of your neck when you feel like something is watching you. Make an awareness roll for me, please.
Yes, sir. Awareness. Okay. With
something. I'm just looking at
wits.
Wits, yes.
Perception. Surely perception, right?
It would definitely be perception.
Okay. Awareness or alertness? Awareness?
It would be awareness.
Uh-oh. 2.
Yeah, all that you can really get is that there's that oppressive feeling that there are eyes upon you. And you don't know whether it's the horrific sight in front of you or whether it's just the mind playing tricks on you, but it's almost like the shadows on the edges of the room, and indeed your periphery are rippling. But nothing moves, nothing strikes, just that feeling in your gut.
I think I'm in the doorway, right? I haven't really...
Yeah.
Obviously would have opened the door and just gone, fuck. Okay. So I'm pretty sure it's not behind me, whatever it is. Fairly sure. I won't turn around because I think that is more dangerous than taking a step into the room, which is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, you step into the room. It's strange. It's almost like there's a change of temperature as you step in. Maybe another trick of the mind, perhaps, but it feels significantly colder in here. But again, you're only greeted to the soft humming of the mainframes and the whir of the petrol generators. You're looking at the face of this Nosferatu creature, not unlike yourself. The Nosferatu all have their individual qualities, much like any other living being. Each one is individual and each have, sadly, their own strange mutations. This one has the typical bat-like ears and teeth jutting from odd angles. This one definitely got a really bad roll of the dice. Like, Donica, you're all right for a Nosferatu looks-wise. This dude, not so much. Even less so now that he has his throat torn out.
I will take another step and I'll look around and I'll say hello.
Hello, hello, hello. It kind of echoes around the cold, stark room. And then you feel something in your chest, something that you sensed, I believe, the night before. An intake of breath.
Right. Definitely odd. He feels worried about it. But he's seen enough horror movies to know that it's always behind you when you leave. It's always in the place where you don't want it to be. And in front of you is better than behind you. So he's going to just stand there and kind of like look and wait. He's gonna be like wiggling his fingers, sort of like his claws, and just like standing ready and waiting.
And you're waiting there in the oppressive stillness of the moment. And it's like all these thoughts are running through your mind, building up to a crescendo of awareness and thought and terror, and then bing, a noise from across the room, an alert upon a laptop that is still active across the other side of the room.
I think he probably like jumps and like lands on the ceiling, like never expecting him to have like be able to do that. He like jumps and then like his like claws and feet like dig into the ceiling, and he's not really too sure how he's done that. And then he like drops back down again. It's a good one. It's a good one. He's still pretty sure there's somebody in here, so he's kind of like talking. You know, this isn't all that impressive. I mean, chains, sure. It's a bit 80s.
And there is no comforting response. There is no breaking of that tension. The stillness. The quiet.
Okay. So I'm going to walk towards the computer that has an alert.
Yep, you just see that an email has been received.
I will first have a look at the keyboard to make sure it's not like wired up to any sort of bomb or anything like that. When I'm pretty sure that there's not like a trap laid here, then I will open it.
Yeah, well, you can have a look, and your keen eye for technology can tell you that this laptop isn't attached to anything. In fact, it's actually just running on its own battery at the moment. Yeah, and you can see there was an alert that pop up on the desktop.
Yep, I'll have a look.
It's an email to a Peter, spelled with a Y. And it appears to be a contact from Europe. It's seemingly like a family member of some type, but family member in terms of the clan. Another Nosferatu, perhaps, at a guess. But it's simply a message just keeping in touch, asking how he is and what the scene is like in London because they're considering moving.
Okay. So just unfortunate timing. It's not from Ripper, at least. Um, so it's clear that at some stage people are going to be in here, and Donnick is going to go tell Fag what happened. But he's got all these computers, and they seem to be unlocked. Like this guy didn't have time to like close it all down and encrypt everything and lock everything, and so he's going to like look at the corpse for a moment and kind of shrug and think you would have done it too, and he'll like sit down and start like filtering through and trying to find secrets within.
On the computer or on his person? Sorry.
On the computer.
Okay. I would like you to give me a computer check, please. Yeah, whatever it was again. Let's see.
Goodness, yes. 4.
4 successes.
Yes,
Excellent. As you are hacking away and you're beginning to sift through the different files of this computer, something pops up, something from an external source. You begin to understand that there is some form of Trojan acting upon this computer. Something is influencing it from outside, and then another email arrives, this time with an attachment from a different sender. You can see that it's been sent through about 1,000 proxies before it arrives. Maybe 1,000 is an exaggeration, but a lot.
I don't think I would open that. I don't think that seems smart.
Okay.
Um,
From what you can tell without opening it, let me just bring. I've got some information for you regarding what it would be. You would be able to tell that it's an MP3, so it's definitely audio, but what's on it you don't know, obviously.
Okay. I won't touch that now. I'm going to try and filter out any bits that I can from this dude. If he has like lists of things, data lists and shit like that, like credit card numbers that he's swiped, all the sort of stuff I imagine that he's up to, or like a list of secrets, all that sort of shit. I'll be searching for that. I'll give it maybe 10 minutes and then I will close the laptop and take it with me and go and find Fag.
Sure, your search doesn't prove entirely fruitful. So you close the laptop, take it up, and begin making your way out. Tess, in this time that you've been waiting for Donica, you've had a moment to, I don't know, maybe you've gone onto your phone, maybe opened a new email account, perhaps. What have you guys? Well, to begin with, Tess, what have you guys been doing whilst you're waiting for Donica? And we'll start with Tess.
Do we have signal down here?
You get it in fleeting glimpses of glorious signal, yeah, every now and then. But it's not easy. You've got to like hold it to your head and up in the air and stuff.
Tess tries to pull up news, and after a few minutes of the awkward holding it up and checking again, she just puts it down and looks over at Siegfried. Do you think we're the same?
Yeah, Siegfried at this point, he kind of looks over, and then you realize that he has 2 earbuds in, and he pulls one out. What was that?
I mean, you asked Anne what you are. I just kind of figured it was like you and me and Toph were all kind of the same, and then there was Donica. Should I have asked? Are we the same?
I'm not so sure that at least me and Toph are the same. That seems unlikely to me. But who knows? I have no idea. I
From
don't
what
really
you
know anything about this.
from what you recall, Anne did identify Siegfried as a Toreador. But obviously you didn't ask, so you don't know what you are, I guess, at this stage.
I mean, all I really have is just the name at this point, Toreador. That's literally the extent of my knowledge. I don't know what that means. I don't know who they are. I don't know what
That
it is.
apparently
So
you're like, what, a perfume, she said? Whatever that means.
I have no idea. So I mean, you could be the same thing. I guess it's possible.
It's just so
It
much more
shrugs, like, I
complicated.
don't know what to say.
Like, okay, you're still figuring out the fact that vampires are real, and now there's different kinds, and they're don't all like each other, and it's like politics? I don't know.
It's like politics, but everybody lives for 5,000 years, which just makes it 10 times worse.
Yeah. Fuck. I don't know, I just feel like maybe I should have asked her.
I mean, I asked and it didn't get me much other than a name, so perhaps you didn't miss out on that much.
Maybe it doesn't matter.
Something to look forward to later, I guess. Look forward to.
I look forward to getting out of this, and just kind of gestured. It does not smell so great.
Yeah, well, on that one, we definitely are the same. I can say that at least.
Toph, what have you been doing?
Well, first thing Toph's been doing is trying to ignore the other two. He's a little bit away, kind of sitting cross-legged, and he's just kind of scrolling through these messages that he's been ignoring on his phone. He just shakes his head and goes, "Fuck, God, fucking damn it, fuck you, Sid." And he's reading these messages. They're from his bandmates, and he's blown off another gig, and they're not happy. So he's thinking. So he writes, groups them all, and he says, "I'll tell you about it later. Shit's just gotten out of control. Toph." And sends a message and just looks over at the other two. It's probably right at the tail end of their conversation. And he would just pipe in at that point and he'd say, "Well, I'll tell you this, Tess. Be thankful you're not one of his."
One of me?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, why not?
Well,
What is that supposed to mean?
do you want to sit around, talk about the beautiful flowers blooming in the spring, gentle curves of some sculpture? That's a Toreador. They waste their eternal life on bullshit. Nothing meaningful.
There's arguably nothing more meaningful than art, so I'll take what you've said as a compliment. Thank you.
Yeah, whatever.
Is at
We'll
this
see.
point you see Donica emerge from the doorway at the far end of Down Street. You're looking at this barely illuminated shanty town in the middle of the underground network. And you see him walking towards you with a laptop under his arm. Donica, you have rejoined your companions.
Yeah, I guess his eyes would be wide. He would just be have the laptop under his arm, and he would say, "We need to speak with Fang now."
Just, I mean,
Okay, good. And he would just start moving in that direction.
Siegfried
assuming
would go to like protest or ask, but then would just like seeing he's already gone, would just shrug and follow.
Yeah. So assuming you all follow him, you go back to that tavern, the gutter. Do you even wait for permission to go up the stairs, or do you just go straight up, Donica?
Unless there's like a big burly nos in my way, I would just go.
Yeah, it's just the barman, but he appears to be distracted, looking elsewhere, or not bothered. Either way, it doesn't really matter. You march up these stairs. There's the door that looks like it's straight out of a film noir, and you're standing in front of Faye's door.
Despite the urgency, I will still knock.
Enter.
And I will do so. And I will like put the laptop on the desk. I don't even know his name. The computer person you had here.
Fag turns around, and it's almost like you've caught him doing something. He was at the desk, and there's a sudden eruption of fumbling as he attempts to put something into a drawer quickly and slams it shut. And he goes, my boy, hello, welcome back. So soon, I thought we had completed our diplomatic negotiations. How can I help you, eh?
We had completed them. You have a vampire who computers down the street.
You speak Peter? Yes, Peter is an old friend of mine.
He's dead. He's been killed, murdered. He's been hung by chains, and Ripper is written on the wall.
What? What are you saying? Is this some funny joke that you bring me? Peter dead? No, Peter cannot be dead. What do you mean?
It's not a joke. I came straight to you.
And he's sort of like frozen for a second. And then he looks down and then looks at you and he says, "Who have you told?"
You're the first person that I've told. The laptop, the notification and email, there's an MP3 on it. I don't know how familiar you are. It's a sound file. I didn't want to open it. I wanted to show it to you.
And he's frozen. And he says, "Sound files. I do not know. What? Peter is an old friend of mine. You say he's dead? I cannot believe this."
He is dead. He hangs in chains in his house.
What to do? And he goes as if he's about to get up to go and look. And then he stops and he says, What is this file? What is this file you speak of?"
I don't know yet. I can show you if you like.
"Show me, boy."
So I'll open it up and play it.
Yeah, you play it, and there's this crackling. It's almost like it sounds almost like it's been ripped from like old recording equipment. Lots of faint cracklings and hums of potentially being copied over something else before turned into an MP3 format. You're not sure, but it's silent with the odd crackle for a moment until you hear 8 little kindred with no hope of heaven. Gladstone may save one, then there'll be 7. 7 little kindred begging for a shilling. That same song. The rhyme. Haunting. Sending shivers down your spine. What are the rest of you doing whilst this is happening? And you, by the way, you're looking at Fag, and he's kind of just got his eyes fixed at the monitor, listening to this sinister song. Siegfried, what's going through your mind?
Yeah, so Siegfried's kind of just almost and just stunned. First Donica just comes up. He now has a computer. Then he's now saying that we have to go. We have to talk to this person, and now we're here. And then suddenly he just drops this bombshell that someone is dead. Apparently, one of the vampires, and it's just like. And then now Fag's reaction, like this totally calm, cool person, is now like super flustered and anxious, and he's just like, he has no idea what this means, what the ramifications of this, what the implications, like the magnitude. Like he just has no idea. He was just kind of like trying to find any sort of anything he can from anybody else in the room, like even know what to do or what to expect. But he gets nothing.
Yeah, tough. What's running through your mind?
So Toph is just watching Fag, looking for any kind of reaction, some sort of sign of weakness. And he sees it. This ancient vampire staring at this screen, unnerved. And actually, the fact that Fag is unnerved unnerves Toph. But he doesn't want the others to see. He starts thinking Gladstone. Should I know that name? And then he pipes up and he says, do you know who this Ripper is? You look like you might know who, or at least heard of him before, or it before. And he corrects, he says him, but then he corrects himself and says it.
I know very little, but I understand that he or it is a threat of some kind. A threat. There's a Camarilla. They like to keep that hush hush, if you know what I mean.
How many clans are there of vampires?
Let me count for one moment, for my brain is old, and also I can't remember off the top of my head. Let me think. There is a Bruja, there's a Machiavian, there is a Nosferatu, there is the Toreador, and the Tremere, and the Ventru. Oh, and the Gangrel, but they were banished. They were shunned away from the Camarilla, huh?
Not 8.
No. Tis peculiar, no?
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
I must go and see. I must see Pieter. He was an old friend of mine. I looked up for him. I took him under my wing. You understand? And he sort of gets up, and there's this almost strange shifting, as if, in a way to describe it, as if light were bending around him, almost like shadows were starting to form all around him, and this shadowy kind of smoke almost envelops him as this now amorphous mass of dark energy just moves past you and appears to be heading towards where you had gone into the mainframe room. What are you doing?
But Tess has just been kind of standing in the hall, listening at the edge of the door, maybe making eye contact with Siegfried, and got a very real chill at the sound of the voice and the song. And the Ripper, it's something makes her feel more afraid than she thinks it should. But she'll trail along behind Fag and Donica and presumably Toph and Siegfried as well.
Oh, okay. So you're all following, going back to the mainframe room?
Or she's just following wherever the others are going. I don't know if they're going to follow Fag. She doesn't really want to see it.
Sure. Is anyone going?
I'd probably follow at a distance. I think it's probably like a pretty personal moment. Seems to be his friend. So I don't want to like be in there with him, but I want to be nearby when he comes out in case he figures something out or we need to be told something.
Yeah, you don't quite reach the mainframe room, but you hear a cry of Peter! Oh, Peter! What has become of you? You eventually turn the corner, and all of you are greeted to the sight that Donica had seen this Peter, this Nos hanging from the ceiling with that name. And it's almost like the song is still echoing in your minds. Still there, ever present. Let me just quickly check something. If all of you would like to make an intelligence, and I need to find the right, I guess it would be intelligence and either law or there isn't a history. Go for law. No, because that's law is in being a lawyer and stuff, isn't it? Not law.
Maybe academics.
Yes, academics. That would be perfect. If you have any. And if not, then it's straight intelligence. And tell me how many successes you get.
2 for Toph.
Okay.
6.
Oh, yes.
4.
1.
Yeah. So, Donica, like you feel that it rings a bell, but Siegfried, you instantly know what it is. This is an old poem written by an anonymous source, a poem written about the, shall we say, the methods and exploits of Jack the Ripper, a famous Victorian serial killer. That much, obviously, you all probably know who or what Jack the Ripper, the legend of Jack the Ripper, whatever. But you're able to identify it as that. And that's running through your mind as the rest of you enter this room and you see this sight for the first time. The name daubed upon the floor. And now Fag sort of hunched over, looking up at this Nosferatu. And he turns around and he says, I am going to have to inform them. I'm going to have to contact Ventru Towers. This is something that cannot be hidden. This must not be hidden.
I can
Like
do it.
the whole time that they've been
Siegfried, you go first, then we'll go to Tess.
I was just gonna say the whole time that they've been on the way, like he's felt like this kind of uneasy tension, but like the words of the song are just like going like over and over in his head, like just that pull of like I know that from somewhere. What is that from? Like I know those words, and then suddenly it like clicks in his head. Like 8 little kindred with no wait, uh, those words, the song. Those are from a poem. It's not known who wrote it, but it was about Ripper. The last one. Jack the Ripper. I know it for sure. That poem was about Jack the Ripper.
Fang is looking at you all, and he says, "This must be reported. This cannot be. I will not take the blame for this. It'd be all too easy for the Camarilla to put this on the nos. Not on my watch."
Tess pulls out her phone. I can contact them. We have someone we're supposed to inform if we hear things.
Ah, so that is who you answer to, no?
I don't know about answering to, but that's what they recommended.
You make the call. We cannot touch anything. Anything may be important. And he whirls around and he rounds upon you, Donica, and you feel like an inch tall as this seemingly frail vampire now looks almost completely different. No longer frail looking, but a predator, a beast, a monster in the night, bearing down upon you. And it says, "What did you pick up? What did you take? Did you move anything?
The laptop.
Anything else?
I didn't take anything.
You're telling me the truth, boy!" And he grabs you and sort of like gets right up in your face.
And Donica's like struggling to remember. Like, he didn't move anything, strictly speaking, or take anything, strictly speaking. He did look at some files and stuff. Doesn't know if that's important, but doesn't want to kick this off the wrong way, since Fang is going to be his employer. So he says, "I looked in the laptop for files and things."
Very well. You make the call. I shall have a look around myself.
When Fang would have done that with Donica, Toph kind of steps up beside Tess and he reaches out with his arm and he kind of shepherds her a little bit behind him. And then he kind of looks at her and he says, "Careful."
Yeah, the nos kind of freaks Tess out. He looks like a monster. It's like something from out of a horror movie, and seeing him just kind of bear down on Donica like that, she's very happy to take another couple of steps back. It's somewhat terrifying.
Toph then speaks up and says, "Well, Fang, we'll let you deal with that. Tess is going to give the old Camarilla a call, but we got to get going." And he would kind of give a look to Siegfried, and like with this kind of raise an eyebrow, says, "Let's go."
Fang looks at you and he says, "Very well, but if you leave, they may want everyone to remain where they are. So if you are wanting to leave here, I would go now and then make the call. But do not take too long. I do not want this to come back on down street. We've suffered enough. Do you understand me, Brua?"
He immediately nods his head. Doesn't say a word. The others don't know. He can't say a word. He's just like stunned by just the mere presence of this old nos.
"Do as you please. I shall continue to look around." And he begins to sort of stoop down and start going over this crime scene with what you would describe as a fine-tooth comb. Anything else you want to do, or are you guys out of there? It's entirely up to you what you do.
You'll need someone to do his job.
What do you say to me? What did you just say to me?
You will need someone to do his job.
Peter is irreplaceable. You do not know Peter as I do.
I don't know him at all.
You wish to have his job, huh? Huh?
I don't intend to replace him. I just mean that you need somebody who's tech savvy, and I'm that.
Ah, yes, you are the boy. You are, but how dare you? How dare you bring this up at this time of tragedy? But okay, that'll be very helpful.
I actually didn't hear the last thing you said.
He said, but okay, that'll be very helpful.
Okay.
And then he gives you one last look, this strange dude, and then he goes to as if to continue looking around.
I'll just kind of nod and kind of back away from the area. I'll leave the laptop back where it was, as precisely as I can manage, and then I'll leave.
Okay, what's the plan, guys?
Well, Toph is halfway out the door when Donica drops that bomb, and it's probably like, it's like, what is it? You could hear a pin drop when he thinks that this is where they're all going to die. But thankfully, Fang has a little bit of humor in the situation and sees the practicality of it. But the minute they are probably out of Fang's earshot, which would be probably closer to the subway tube, he would look at Tess and he'd be like, "God damn it. What are you doing? I can call the Camarilla. We got a phone."
She's got her phone out. She's like,
Are
yeah.
you trying to get...
He said they needed to.
They could have done that. God damn you. Jeez. Low profile. Do you guys want targets on your back?
I'm going to be useful. And if that means calling the Camarilla and being useful to them, then so be it. That seems to be how it works around here.
Whatever's close to Toph at that moment, he punches with everything he's got. And then he doesn't say another word. He just kind of stews in it for a minute or two or 10.
Is that what you want to do? You want to be their stooge? You want to do what they tell you and eat shit from them and drink blood from slaves that have chained up somewhere in their tower? And that's what you want to do with your own life?
Firstly, you have zero proof about whatever crazy hypothesis you formed.
So where'd the fresh blood come from? From the tap?
I don't know. Maybe they have it in bags like at a hospital.
Maybe.
Nope. He turns around. He's probably like about 10, 15 feet away. And Toph does one of those things where he's just like, there's like a blink of the eye and he's right in front of Tess. And he got her by the shoulders. And he's like, "Keep fooling yourself, girl." And his face is just like this close. He goes, "Oh, I can't remember, Tess. Did you try the blood at the
She took like a sip, but she didn't drink it all.
Yeah. That blood at the blood bank, I don't know what you read or heard. It's all bullshit. You need fresh blood. That other blood doesn't work. And the blood at the tower, yeah. Oh, and he's still mad. And you can tell when Toph gets mad, whatever eloquence, what little he has with words, totally goes out the window. He's like, "Fuck.
Spit it out already."
Just fuck. If I could show you what was behind that tap.
Oh, like you know?
I know more than you, girl. More than you. And he
Well,
pokes
then
her hard
tell
in the
me.
chest, and he says, "Fuck! Fuck! I got plans
Not on your life.
plans for you." And he turned away.
This is really, though? I mean, like, you're dead now, and you live in this You're like a superhero and you want to get a job? That's what you want to do? You want to like be a lawyer for vampires?
You just got a job.
I got a job with this madman. It's fucking rad. This place it's like a movie. Look at it. He's like fucking Dracula. If you look, it's not the same at all.
And we're not the same. So why would you think we would get the same kind of job?
I had a corporate job in my life. I don't know why you would want to just do the same thing.
Because I was fucking good at it. Because I was going to be the youngest partner at the firm. Because I had potential. And I'll be damned if this, just kind of gestures, like, if this screws me over. I'm going to be good at something. And if I'm going to live forever, then I'm going to be damn good at it. So you do your thing, I'll do mine.
Those people are villains, and you can tell that just by looking at them, by the way they speak to you, everything about them. They're bad. Really bad.
Just because you're Irish and you don't like aristocracy, don't put that on me.
It's nothing to do with that. It's got nothing to do with that. Those people are evil, and you can smell it off them. And maybe you can't, but Toph knows. And I can tell by looking at them that they're no good, and they...
You can tell by looking at them?
Yes.
And she, like, looks at your ears and your fangs.
Oh, fuck
Want to
off.
talk about who? Evil?
I'm done.
Fine. She'll pull out her phone and she's gonna see if she can get signal.
You have a couple of bars.
So we'll just send a text to Mr. G. Ripper was it down the street?
You send it?
Kind of looks... Toph looks mad. Donnica's turned his back. She looks at Siegfried.
Yeah, Siegfried's eyes are akin to a deer in headlights right now. There's just like been just an explosion across everybody, and he is like no stake in either side. Like he doesn't like the Camarilla, but he doesn't, he's not going to do anything. He just like doesn't even. He just like shrugs at everyone, including Tess as she looks.
Yeah, she sends it.
Message sent. Delivered. Read. Your phone is ringing.
Hello.
This is Mr. Gisborne. Is this some kind of joke?
Obviously not.
What reason do you have to believe that he was there?
Because there's a dead Nos and the word Ripper written in blood.
Stay exactly where you are. He's hung up.
Tess finds some place not too dirty and sits down.
What are you doing? Are we going? What is this?
I'm staying. You can go.
You're staying. here so that they can come and... Okay. Donica like looks at Tough like, are we leaving?
Yeah, Toph's kind of at a distance, probably a stone's throw away. So you would have to get his attention. He kind of saunters back. You can just see he's still pissed. So what did they say, Tess?
I'm staying put for now.
Fuck.
You don't
Shit.
have to.
You're right. You're right. I don't have to. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your permission, Tess. I was sitting here just waiting for that. Thank you for your permission, Queen of the fucking neophytes. Fuck. All you Ventrue are the same. Think you're better than fucking everybody. Fuck you all. I don't have to stay. This is your fucking problem now.
Like Venture Tower.
You figure it out. You're so fucking smart. And he turns and he reaches in his back pocket. He pulls out his phone and he just starts furiously sending a text message to Sid. And basically it says, "What the fuck? Please tell me I'm done." And he's going to tell Sid about the Ripper, about Peter. He goes, and he's just in a big question mark at the end.
In the text, you're sending all that information in the text?
Yes.
Okay. A little while goes by and you get a response. And it just says, "Come on by."
You would see this freaking, this smug ass fucking smile spreads across Toph's face. And he turns back to the others. He goes, "You sit here and wait for Mr. G. I'm leaving. Donica, Siegfried, you're welcome to come along if you want."
Donica like looks at Siegfried like, are you gonna stay here?
Yes, Siegfried's face is akin to someone who's just been asked by two people like which one of them is better, like to their faces, and like he doesn't want to like he doesn't want to say which girl is prettier in front of the other one, so he's just like he doesn't know what to do, like his just face is just like stunned, just like eyes wide. Like anytime he goes to speak or do anything, it's just immediately like shuts off into silence and awkward pausing.
Siegfried, you don't have to stay. I know you are eager to get out. I'll catch up with you later.
Are you sure you'll be okay?
Yeah, I don't need a babysitter. She looks at Toph.
Well, you have permission now.
All right, just be careful, both down here and with them. I'm not quite the anarchists that these two are, but I don't trust them either. Just because they're powerful doesn't mean they have your interests at heart.
Right? Right? That's what I'm saying.
Donica, did I ever say I trusted them?
But what are you doing now? You were trusting them that they won't just murder you when they get here because you know something about this Ripper thing.
You really don't understand the corporate world.
I bet you voted conservative, didn't you?
I'm not getting into that with you.
Well, if we're gonna go, we should go before they get here.
I would think as they're waiting on the platform, it would give Toph a chance to cool off a bit. And as he starts to cool off, he looks at Donica and Siegfried, and then he looks past them over to where Tess is sitting by herself. And she probably thinks she's sitting there confident, but in Toph's eyes, he sees this frail, vulnerable vampire. And he looks at the two of you and he says, I'm gonna fucking hate myself for this, but one of you should really stay with Tess. I know she thinks that she's got it all set, and I'd feel better if one of you stayed, but god damn it, I will freaking kick your ass if one of you tell her I said that.
Yeah, right.
And in the back of Toph's mind, once you say that, Donica, there's like this relief because he was afraid that Siegfried was going to actually volunteer to stay when you're the more capable. But he didn't want to say that. He's probably bruised Siegfried's ego enough, and so he's trying to not so much. Looks like it's you and me, Siegfried. And he kind of just nods to you, Don.
And Donica gives you this look of like, this is you owe me one.
Well,
So he'll like
case-
turn and like stomp back over and like sit next to Tess.
in that case, you be careful too. You more than her. All right, let's go.
So that means that Toph and Siegfried are going to go and see Sid. Donica and Tess are waiting for the camera in down the street. So, Toph, Siegfried, you return the small platform where the old tube train is sat waiting for you. And through the darkness and behind the glass, you see that clown mask just perceiving you, watching you as you board. And then it begins to rumble away into the darkness. Is there anything that you, Donica, and Tess want to do whilst you're waiting?
I'm just trying to picture when Donica comes back over and Tess just looks at him. Why are you here?
Someone has to fucking look after you.
Seriously? Seriously?
Look, we're dead together. We woke up together, so we better figure out a way not to kill each other.
Fine, that doesn't mean I need you to babysit me.
It absolutely means that, because I don't think that you are as good at fighting as I have proven to be.
Oh, sure, I'm not as good at fighting. You don't always need to fight, you know.
No, but when you do and you can't, then you're fucked.
Well, thanks,
Uh-huh.
I guess.
Sure. Fine.
and you sit in silence. Toff and Siegfried, your journey is pretty uneventful, ignoring the tube driven by something wearing a clown mask. You emerge out of Down Street, stepping over the vomit that cakes the stairways leading out of it, and you're able to make your way to Camden, to the World's End pub. This is where, Toff, you know, this is where you go if you want to meet Sid Day, the Primogen of the Bruja here in London. The doors swing, and you hear the song, "Hey little sister, what have you done?" Billy Idol's White Wedding washes over you as you step through the threshold. Hey little sister, who's the only one? It is late still. It is pretty late at night. And the party is in full swing. You can tell that this is a place where humans still go, but you can just look at some people to they are vampiric in nature. And in the far corner, next to a raised staging area, you see that there is a booth with stained seats. And there is an individual that does not look unlike the artist that is now playing Billy Idol. White hair, open shirt, lots of necklaces and jewelry, fingers, black nail varnish. Sid Day sits languidly upon a seat and is just watching as you approach. Toff, you fucking muppet. What's been going on?
He just throws himself down across from Sid, and he doesn't even acknowledge Siegfried, doesn't introduce him or anything. He goes, "Well, it's been one fucking adventure after another." And he would probably kind of just lean in and just kind of bring him up to speed with what he's been going through.
And who's this you brought with you?
And he would look and he'd say, "It's one of them. Siegfried, don't just stand there like one of your sculptures. Sit down."
Yeah, Siegfried looks down at just the stained and torn and tattered chairs and benches and just the mess of everything. He just kind of winces. Just why does every place we go to have to be such a disaster?
The words
Sorry.
the words have barely escaped your lips when a woman approaches. She's wearing a tank top, and you can see that she has both arms tattooed sleeves, full sleeves. She makes her way straight across the establishment, stands directly in front of Toff, and you receive the most powerful slap to the face you think you've ever felt. Before you is a vampire known as Ruby. You know Ruby, maybe intimately, that's entirely up to you. Perhaps that's why you deserved the slap. And she says, "What are you doing here? I thought I told you never to come back."
His face is just, it would probably be, broken, if not bruised, if he was alive. He smiles up at Ruby and he says, "Ruby, love, I thought you were just kidding. I mean, this is where I hang out."
She just looks you up and down and then looks at Sid and says, I made a request that he not be let back in, and yet he's still here. Why? And then Sid's just like, darling, you're giving me hassle. I just want to talk to him for a second, okay? We'll be dealing with it, all right? At all of you with daggers in her eyes, and then she swaggers off and goes to speak to someone else.
Rob, just before she leaves, Toph would throw her one of those little quick winks. And so he does have history with Ruby. They ran for a while together. But in true Bruja style, something new and flashier came along and got Toph's interest. So,
yeah, you can see the new horizons of dawn for Ruby as well, as she goes to stand next to an individual that you know, another Bruja known as Losario, who is the leader of the Outlaws, a biker gang, and whispers something in his ear, and they both turn around and stare at you. But they don't make any move to approach.
Yeah, I think Toph would just pretend like he doesn't see that. And he would look at Sid and he would also kind of pull Siegfried closer to him, and he'd kind of leave his arm hanging around him, and he'd say, so Sid, so here's the deal. Not that I don't love these guys like my own, right? And he kind of gives Siegfried a little peck on the cheek. But you got to tell me what this is all about. We went to the Spire?
The Shard, yeah.
Shard. We went to the Shard. You know, I fucking hate that place, man. I hate that place. God, it makes my skin crawl going in there. And then there's this guy, Mr. G. And fuck, there's a freaking Nos. Had his throat slit. It just got all fucking messy. The other two, the other Nos and Tess, you know, they're there. And he would just say, fucking, she called him. Fucking, it's just getting really messy. I just don't know what you want me to do. I mean, why am I wasting my time with these guys? No insult intended there, Siegfried.
I'm sure there wasn't.
Sid sort of leans back and he puts both of his arms up on the top of the chair and sort of like slides back into a comfortable position, and he says, tough, mate. You're one of our brightest lights here. That's why I wanted you to go along. Sometimes we've got to toe the line with those Camarilla twats, but listen to me. It's nothing but a good thing, as far as I'm concerned. It's ruffling their feathers. And who knows, it might shake things up around here.
Toph smiles at that, and he takes his arm out from around Siegfried, and he kind of pats his leg, uncomfortable like, and like someone might pat their girlfriend's leg. And he goes, hey, Siegfried, why don't you take a little walk? I gotta talk with Sid in private.
Siegfried's just like, he doesn't even, this day has already been just too much, and he just shrugs and stands up. And is just gonna walk outside. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't make any facial expression. Just like almost more of a zombie than a vampire. Just like stands up, turns, and walks.
Once Siegfried is gone, Toph leans forward towards Sid and he says, hey, I think we got a good angle here. One of them new vamps. She's still not the brightest. but she's got potential. I think she's a Ventru. And you would kind of leave that hanging there, let it sink in really deep for Sid. And he goes, that might work for us. If I can, he'd smile and say, turn things around and use my irresistible charm. I might be able to get her to work her way into the shard, if you know what I mean. And he kind of leans back, gives Sid a wink, very proud of this plan he's got working in his head.
And Sid looks back, and his expression doesn't change. And he then looks down, and he sort of gives like a small half nod. Yours, and he says, they say who they were sending to Down Street.
Mr. G? And he kind of shrugged his shoulders.
And as you say those words, we cut back to Down Street. It's peculiar. Donica, Tess, maybe you have your eyes upon Train, but it hasn't come back. Stepping out of the darkness is an almost 8-foot tall man, pale with a bald head and purely black eyes.
Tess visibly jumps.
He is walking almost in a direct line to you, and then when he notices that sort of jolt that you make with your shoulders when you kind of jump, he stops and he looks at you. And he stands in front of you as if waiting.
She kind of looks at Donica and then stands up. The dead Nosferatu was this way. And she'll gesture towards where all the tech stuff was, where they'd found Peter.
You are to accompany me. The voice is strange. It doesn't feel like it belongs to this individual.
Very well.
And he begins to lead you towards the crime scene. And it's with that we are going to take a short break. But first of all, hello and welcome. My name is Rob, and you're watching the channel Performance Check. And this is Vampire the Masquerade London. This has been a really fun session. We're going to take 5 minutes, grab yourselves a drink or something, and we'll wait for Lloyd to get back. That's another reason why I'm calling the break now. And we'll be back in just a few moments. All good? Cool. It's a nice day for a white wedding. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us here. What a fun session so far. And a party split. Can only be a good thing, right? Let's see who we have in the chat with us today. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba. So you have Nico. Hey, man, how's it going? We have Carol. Hello. We have Squishy5454. Clem. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Squishy.
So, this is interesting. Party split Taylor. What are your thoughts?
Meta-wise, it's a terrible idea to split the party, but I'm really glad that at least someone is with Tess because I'm pretty sure she would die solo. She would never admit that, but I think Tess would probably die on her own. She's a little too cocky and really not good in a fight. That is not one of her strong suits. Lloyd's right. But no, splitting the
You're all
party I
very
think is
new
fun.
as well.
Yeah, we're very new.
Yeah, it's fun.
I'm very
Strangely
sad that I'm
enough-
missing the scene with Siegfried and oh my god.
Strangely enough, despite how miserable this scene is for Siegfried, I still think he got the better end of the party split on this one.
We shall see. I can see we're all back. Lloyd's back with us. What? We'll catch you up in the chat as to what you missed, Lloyd. Taylor, do you reckon you could do that? Because we're going to return to outside the World's End pub. Siegfried, you're standing where a number of people are smoking out the front. It is a very cold night. And what's going through your mind as you're standing outside alone, the World's End?
Yeah, Siegfried is just like shaking his head, just like, oh my god, how did I end up here? Like, why is every place that I go to like just trashy place with trashy people? Like, why was Toph even acting somehow more strangely than he usually does? Like, he's just being weird and even more so than normal. And he's like wondering what they're talking about now. That was so important that he couldn't be there to hear it, and he's just confused. Is the easiest and most succinct way to put it. Like, he just doesn't know what's happening or what even to do.
As that final thought runs through your mind, a voice can be heard from behind you as an arm is draped across your shoulder. Hey, darling. You turn and you look, and it's Ruby. And she has lit what is clearly a massive joint in her other hand and is brazenly just taking a huge toke of this thing as she comes to stand next to you. The smell of it alone could potentially knock out a horse. And she sort of is draped across you and says, "How's your night going?"
Yeah, Siegfried just kind of jerks his shoulder back to drop her arm off. Just stellar. Couldn't be better.
Yeah, I didn't like hanging out with him either.
I can't imagine why. He's such good company.
And she gives a long musical laugh. And she throws her hair back. And she says, "What do you know about him?"
Siegfried kind of just takes a step back and kind of his face kind of twists into a confused, almost like a smirk. Not much. Why? What do you know about him?
Oh, you know. Not much to know. He's a loser. You'd be doing yourself a favor if you just ditched him. Why don't you come hang out with us? We're going to go have some fun. Do you want to join us? And she looks over her shoulder, and this Lasario dude, this Bruja, he has a denim kind of vest, and that's it. Just has there's nothing under there. This dude is like totally ripped, and you don't know whether that's the only thing that's going for him, but he has this kind of vacant look over his eyes as he's watching.
You know, that doesn't really look like my scene, but thanks for the offer.
See yourself. But hey, look, here's my number. And she gives you a card, and it's just you can see that it's like some in fact, you know what it is? It's a coaster. It's a coaster from the bar, and she's written her number on it in pen, and she gives it to you. And she gives you a wink, and then sort of goes off with Lasario. You think maybe to go and get his bike? You ever heard that he's like leader of a biker gang? So I don't know. We cut back to down the street. Donica, Tess, this huge man is just staring at you, and you were going to lead him to where? As if I remember correctly.
You go ahead.
Yeah, and Tess is kind of standing up and sort of walking that direction, trying not to actually look over her shoulder at him, but feeling very unnerved to have him walking behind her.
Yeah.
Danica would think that this is like Fag's kingdom, and that Fag should know that this thing is here, and that he should make the call on if he goes there or not. So he would be like looking around. He'd actually look for the children if they were around. You know, there was these two little creepy Nosferatu children. He doesn't want to make a huge deal of like calling out for Fag, but he might try and like look at those kids and just do like a eye contact thing, like tell Fag that the sheriff is here.
Yeah, give me an awareness perception, please.
Happily. 2.
Yeah, you think just out of the corner of your eye, you see a small form of a Nosferatu sort of almost eclipsed, half eclipsed by the shadow. And you think to yourself, maybe it's only because you're a Nosferatu that you can see them at all. But they promised you that they would be watching, and certainly one of them definitely is.
Yeah, I guess he would like just look and like just do a pretty obvious like eye contact thing where he would like look at the kid and then like turn his eyes to look in the direction of the sheriff and then look back at the kid and then just kind of like, I guess, like stretch his neck, but it's kind of like a jutting his head in the direction of the gutter, you know?
Does something concern you, Nosferatu? The voice that doesn't seem to belong to this individual echoes.
This is the sheriff?
It is.
Just customs.
Customs. Yeah. Indeed. You turn the corner and you get to the mainframe room. Peter still hangs there. And in the corner, just sort of slumped, is Fag, who is just staring at the crime scene. The sheriff takes one look And he says, "Where are the others?"
Tess kind of looks over and says that Fang is right there.
Donica is going to give her a look of like, these are the people you want to work with?
I was referring to the ones that accompanied you in the hospital.
They're not here.
Were they here?
Does it matter?
There is a silence that seems to last a lifetime. And he takes one step forwards towards you, Tess. This figure. Go ahead.
She is just, like, shaking. She goes, I stayed put as instructed. No one said anything about the others.
And did you not consider that it may be appropriate for all present when this crime had happened for them to remain here for questioning?
We don't know if we were here when the crime happened. There's no way to tell how long he's been dead.
Of course there is. And he steps past you and he just looks up at the body and then crouches down, puts a finger in the very, very slight amount of blood that had dripped from Peter's neck and looks at it like that, rubbing it between his fingers and then smelling it. He then stands and he looks across the Fang and he says, "There are a full report as to the comings and goings of everyone who has been within Down Street in the last 48 hours. And Fang says, Very well, you will receive whatever you need, my fair sheriff. Anything you need." The sheriff turns and looks at you, Donica, and says, "Where are they?"
Who?
"Your associates."
They left. They are not here.
"Where have they gone?"
Somewhere else. Sheriff, I understand that you are a man of great importance, but I also understand that we are free, no? We're not slaves, go where we like.
Another step, this time towards you, Donica. And he looks at you and he says, "I'm going to share with you a bit of advice. An advice that I do not grace many with. If you comply and if you conform, there'll be nothing for you to worry about. But if you're hiding something from me, I will be able to discover it easily. I will ask you again, where are they?"
So out of character for a moment, do I know where they've gone specifically? I don't, right? I know that they've gone, I don't know if it was like okay, before we left was because it's important, because if he knows exactly where they've gone, he might have to tell him. But if they've just gone somewhere, like to go and see another vampire, like Zonica wants to tell him the truth in as useless a way as possible, you know?
I can't, to be honest, I can't remember whether Toph had said he was going to see Sid. I know he had mentioned it the last session, but I don't think he said it this time. So you know that he intends to go and see him at some point, but you don't know if he's gone there right now.
Okay. So my intention is not to lie, but to tell as little of the truth as possible, you know? Like, I know that seems like a gray area, but like, I want to, like, you know, not break the law, but also not be helpful.
The lawyer is thinking through this on the exact same lines.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's fine. I just need to roll something. I don't have enough dice. You are stepping carefully, Nosferatu. A trait that comes easily to your kind, I'm sure.
The Irish? Because that's not something that I would associate with my people.
He takes one giant intake, smelling. You are protecting them.
They have
don't know
gone.
where they went. We don't know where they went. Siegfried went with Toph. I don't know where. Donica doesn't either. Our plan was to meet up with them at a neutral location at some point, probably back at Siegfried's place.
He turns around. He's even almost as if he is just half paying attention to you, and he looks at the body once again. He says, "This Nosferatu has been drained."
But he's a vampire. Do vampires drink vampire blood?
Not many.
I'm not trying to be
Some.
stupid, Sheriff, but is that a thing that you can do? We're new.
Fang gets up and he says, "It is a bit of a faux pas. They call it diablerie. The act of a vampire drinking the blood of another. It is most heinous. It is a disgusting act. There are many stories as to what happens when one does so, huh?"
I see.
When did you last feed? Sheriff Sykes directs that to you, Donica.
Earlier tonight. And then he realizes he said earlier tonight, which is also when the murder happens, and he's like, on the way here. And then he like gives details about where he had fed.
Yeah. I'm going to need to have to follow up on this. And you, when did you last feed? He directs it to you, Tess.
Also, on the way here. It was in a bar.
I mean, you don't think that I could have done this? And he like points. Peter would have been older than me, more powerful, surely. There's no way I would have been able to do this to him. Either of us.
Stranger things have happened in these long nights, Nosferatu.
Well, then surely you don't think I would have called you, and Donica wouldn't have stayed, as he was the one who found him.
He gives you this look of like, what the fuck are you at?
I am more than capable of deducing for myself, thank you very much.
And yet it seems you think we're suspects.
In my line of work, it is wise to consider most as suspects, particularly those who are found near the crime scene at the time of it happening. And also, two of those that you familiarize yourselves with missing.
Not missing, just not here.
You were able to contact them?
My phone is dead.
I have no service down here. Hardly any.
All I require is the number.
My phone is still dead, right? It's like broken and ruined.
You bought a charger. I don't know whether you charged your phone. It's up to you.
When did I buy it the night before, or did I buy it on? I can't remember.
Night before was when you did it, so I would have assumed you would have charged it.
It would have been charged, yeah.
So do you still say that it's dead?
No, I wouldn't. I forgot about that. I thought I still had the dead phone.
No, that's all right. The number is all I require.
Is it a legal requirement that we give you the number?
It is a legal requirement for you to do as the sheriff asks.
And Danica like does this. He like scrunches up his face and like rubs it. So, Sheriff, I mean, there are laws in the human world. Are there laws in this one also? Do you need a warrant?
Donica, can you make me a brawl roll, please?
No.
That isn't a question. That is
Yeah.
Make a brawl roll now.
Ooh, I got 4 out of 4, which is pretty good.
Okay. Regardless, you are snapped off your feet as this individual moves faster than anything you've ever seen. A huge hand slams around your throat and lifts you into the air and puts you into the wall that is behind you. And he is looking at you with those jet black eyes, and he says, "Your phone now." We cut back to the World's End pub. Toph, what are you doing?
So it's been a while since Toph has actually been able to just chill with Sid. And despite some of the ways Toph might speak to others, he actually looks at Sid as like this father figure that was never really in his life much growing up before he was embraced. So he kind of just talks about his, like they're doing some small talk, and he's like, "So I hope you're happy. Blew off another fucking gig tonight. Band's pissed at me again. Gonna have to patch that up." And he probably looks down at his watch. He goes, "I probably should get going." And he would stand up and start to walk away. And he'd probably take a step away, and he'd turn around and he'd look back at Sid. Well, I'm of course assuming, Rob, that Sid gives him permission to like leave. Well, I should say permission in quotes because they are Bruja, so Bruja. So permission is a very loose term, but out of respect for Sid, he would definitely wait for that kind of that nod that says, "Yeah, you can go." And he's just gonna turn back to Sid, and he's gonna kind of lean in. And he's gonna say, "Sid, I know I've been giving you a lot of shit, but listen, I don't know what it is. Something's different. I don't know if it's the three of them or one of them. Something special."
Special.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks they're special. Toph, come on.
No. Listen to me, man. He takes a step back to the table, puts both his hands on it, kind of leans in. He's like, something's different about these three. I just feel it. Trust me. Come on, I don't bullshit you about this stuff.
Well, it is a little bit funny. I would have thought they'd been executed on site, being unsanctioned and all.
Right. Exactly.
Let me ask you something, Tough. What do you want? You know, man, you've been drifting for a while. And as much as I appreciate your contributions around here, you don't seem to be maxing your potential, as they say.
He smiles and gives Sid one of these wry smiles, which to Sid says, I'm already in the works on this. He goes, you know what I want? I want to see those fucking better than thou fucks to get their up and comings. Too long now have we had to fucking beg and scrape from those pricks who think they're better than us. That's what I want. I want we're all vampires. Who cares if we're from fucking different clans? That shouldn't matter. Ventrue, they're no better than us.
Easy for you to say, mate. Easy for you to say. But you weren't there. Last time there was an anarch movement. Really well. If that's something you want, it's something you're going to have to build. And keep quiet. He looks up as I imagine that's when Siegfried rejoins us.
Yeah. So what Siegfried would hear just as he's walking up is Toph would take his hands off the table, do one of these little innocent, come on, Sid. You know me. I'm always careful.
Amazing. Siegfried, you have rejoined us, I'm going to say. And at some point, if you would like to roll a wits and perception whenever you get a free chance, and let me know what you get, and I can then tell you how much of that conversation you heard as you walk back in. But for now, you walk in. What have you been doing? What's going on with you?
So, first off, that was all of my dice rolled successes. So that's 4 successes for perception alertness on that one.
All right, you probably heard the majority of that.
Yeah, I think Siegfried's like, he's got that coaster. He's just kind of like flicking it, just like rolling it around his fingers like an oversized coin. And when he approaches and the conversation kind of wraps up, he'll spin it like a frisbee into Toph's face. I think I met a friend of yours.
Toph would recognize the number and he'd go, yeah, Ruby, she's a nice girl.
I'm sure she's delightful.
She'd do you a turn or two. Probably help you. Harden you up a bit. and Toph would quickly throw his arm around Siegfried, pull him uncomfortably close, and like whisper, like just really close to his ear, or maybe you like the other kind, huh? And give him a little kiss on his neck.
Yeah, Siegfried like winces like as if in pain when Toph does that. He kind of pulls himself away. You know, I've heard some scary stuff over the last few days. But tonight, so far, the biggest and most terrifying news of all. Sid says you're the brightest of the Bruja. I'm terrified of anyone else that I'll meet.
And as the words, terrified of anyone else I'd meet, Donica, you slam onto the ground as the sheriff has just hurled you across the room and is slowly walking towards you.
Stop. Please. I have the number.
You with jet black eyes and says, "Give it to me."
Is he no longer looking at me?
He's looking at Tess.
I would like to, oh no, take out my phone and text Toph.
Okay, what are you texting?
I'll text the word psych. Oh. And an exclamation mark.
Okay. Tess, what are you doing as this figure is looming before you?
Do you want to write it down?
He basically just looks at you and doesn't say anything.
She'll read off Siegfried's number.
He instantly goes to his phone, types it in, and in his pocket.
While he's typing it in, she texts Toph. Tell Sig to dump his phone.
Okay. He does notice that you're using your phone as he puts his own back into his pocket and he says, "Is there a problem?"
I'd like to know where to meet them when we're done with this. And she continues texting Toph and go, "Where are we going to meet after this?"
Okay, so we cut back to the World 10 pub where Siegfried, confusingly, you receive a text saying "Psych O," and then asking where they're going to meet you. Toph, sorry.
Oh,
so you sent it to Toph, yeah.
So did you? Okay, so there's like that. Toph reaches down from his pocket. At what point is this? At the point where Siegfried's rejoined us? We're just kind of wrapping up the conversation with Sid. Maybe we're starting to walk towards the door. So he reads the text. He swipes. He reads the text and clips the screen off on his phone, tucks it back in his pocket, and keeps. He doesn't say anything. He just keeps walking out.
And Siegfried, are you following? Are you going with him?
Yeah, it's out of this place, so if Toph is leaving, Siegfried will be glad to leave as well.
Yeah. And you have received a message instructing you from Tess to dump your phone.
Well, she sent that to Toph, not to me, so Toph would have
Yeah,
to
she said that. Yeah, she said that.
choose
That
whether or
one
not-
to Toph. She sent the both, right? The dump the phone.
She sent
and
everything to
where
Toph.
we.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm with you. Telling Siegfried to dump his phone. I apologize.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So unless Toph decides to use that information, sure we'll get a nice, pleasant phone call very soon.
That's a very good point.
Toph does not. He just looks at the messages and tucks his phone back into his back pocket.
Okay. Where are you heading, by the way, you two, now that you're leaving the world's end?
So I guess Toph's just tucking the phone back in his pocket. He looks at Siegfried and says, I don't do this too often, so don't say anything until I finish. All right, maybe I've been a little bit of an asshole to you. And I feel really bad about that. I was talking to Sid, and I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Where do you want to go?
Siegfried's just kind of like looking almost puzzled by this sudden shift and apology. Okay, Toph. Sure. Apology accepted. I'm sure. Well, how long do you think we have before they're done down there?
Well, all right. If I don't know what's going to happen, Siegfried, and there's no easy way to tell you this, so I'm just going to tell you it straight. We may not see them again. You just got to square that with yourself. Okay? But tell you what, I know a place better than this place. A lot of my mates hang out there. Good friends. It's not far. Well, I'll send them a message and let them know to meet us here. Okay?
Better by whose standards? I think we have very different ideas about what that means.
Toph makes this very fake, I'm insulted look on his face. Like, I'm going to take care of you, man. Don't worry. It's going to be good. It's good people. All right? Something you got to learn is good people don't always dress in the best clothes. Actually, fuck, they're the most depraved usually. And he would reach back into his pocket, pull up Tess's message again, and he'd say just one word, underworld. And he'd send it. And he'd tuck it back into his pocket. And that's where he would want to take Siegfried.
I have no real reason to trust you on that, but alas, here we are. You're the only person here who knows anything about any of this stuff, so you have a place, then away we go.
Very long, because Underworld is actually the club that is next to and also stretches beneath the World's End Tavern, so you don't have far to go at all. But you send that text, it arrives on your phone, Tess. And you don't know whether to read it or to keep your eyes on the sheriff, who is just stood looking down at Donica at this point. The ground, or do you get up?
I would get up. Like, not in an aggressive way, but I would not want to, like, Donica would not be the kind who would, like, cower.
And then the sheriff's eyes just dart towards Tess as the noise of the phone humming. And he says, my, you are popular. And he begins to walk towards you, but then, before you, Fang appears. And he says, now, my sheriff, my dear man. You have no proof that these people have been involved. In fact, when they spoke to me, they seemed nothing but agreeable, huh? Why don't you, ensure that, this site is contained and taken care of, and I will accompany these fine new kindred away from the scene of the crime, in memory of my poor Peter. You understand? He would not wish for further made demise, you know what I mean, huh? And the sheriff just looks at Fang. And he says, you will be required to attend a briefing. You will all be alerted to when and where. And it will be compulsory. Failure to attend? Well, that won't look very good at all, will it?
We were asked to look into this Ripper thing.
He turns and he says, I was there. You were told to keep your ears to the ground. You were not instructed to investigate. As a matter of fact, as I understand it, you are due to be investigating the Winchester Corporation. Find you down here, the scene of a crime.
Circumstantial.
He looks at you and you feel tiny. And then Fang says, come with me, we shall away from this place for now. We shall allow the sheriff to do his work now.
Sure.
Tess doesn't really say anything, she just kind of nods.
As you're leaving, the sheriff says, I would advise you to toe the line and to do as you are bidden. Winchester. That was your assignment. See to it.
Jonica tries really hard and actually succeeds at not saying anything snarky back. He's learned.
There's an interesting thing that runs through your mind, Donica. Your mind goes back to a time when you struck a an admin assistant in a hospital, and how you had been alarmed at your very own strength, and it was something that you could never really imagine. But the way that you've just been seized and smashed into the wall in less than a blink of an eye is alarming to you. And the sheriff watches you leave with Fang. Yeah. Tess, you got a text, Underworld.
Bess would wait until we were out of sight and probably out of earshot. Out of earshot of the sheriff. Maybe even if they're going all the way over to the gutter. She's just walking. She finally turns and looks at Donica. Are you all right?
Fine. Can we report that fucker to someone? Is there someone above him? Is there... I mean, how can he just go around beating the shit out of people? It's like not acceptable. He's the fucking law.
I think he might have killed you. He would have. You're right. I don't say that often to people. But you're right.
Do you imagine there's any circumstance in which Fang would smash you into a wall?
She kind of looks at Fang.
Hey, I've had my moments,
That fucker arrived here, assumed that we were guilty. He picked me up and smashed me into the wall because I wouldn't give him my phone. He's a fucking thug. Mugged me, basically.
Fang turns around and he puts his long fingers over your shoulder and he says, "Do you want a piece of advice, boy, huh? Do you want to listen to old Fang for a moment?"
Sure.
Patience, boy. But in the meantime, do as he says. Toe the line. He can kill you very, very quickly. And that's coming from me. Now. And he slaps you on the shoulder.
Didn't have to fucking deal with police brutality when I was alive. I shouldn't have to deal with it now that I'm a fucking vampire. I'm white!
We all have burdens to bear. But hey, look at this way. You got a new job, huh? Once they clean it up. But this Ripper, if he's a diabolist, if he's drinking the blood of vampires, then this is much worse. This is not happened in a long time.
What is the benefit to diabolizing a vampire?
They say that if you were to drink the soul of a vampire, you gain its vitae, you gain its power. More than you wish to, so the stories say.
And Peter was old, powerful.
Peter was a humble Nosferatu. He was not. It's a relative term, you know what I'm saying, huh?
So why choose him?
I do not know. It is most troubling. Go and find your friends. Try and keep them safe, huh?
Thank you, Fang, for your help.
You don't need to thank me, huh? Just make sure you do the job I told you to do, huh? The Jeremiah, he won't kill himself, no? No, I take that back.
Only
Don't
we
have
were
to
so
kill him.
lucky.
You don't need to kill him. This is a little joke. Just make him pay is what I said, yeah? You make him pay.
Danica like looks at Tess and she's like, "We should be so lucky." Like that's a weird thing to say. We'll see it done. Thank you, Fig.
Not at all. So you're making your way back. Are you guys going to Underworld? Are you going to go and meet them?
Yeah, Tess would tell Donica the text, and she's been there before, so I'm assuming she can make her way back.
Danica would say to her, "You see, he has the number, and we should go somewhere else. We should ring them and go somewhere else."
I told Toph. I sent him a message to tell Siegfried to get rid of his phone. I mean, he's gonna need a new one anyways.
How likely do you think it is that he got rid of the phone? How
How
likely do
likely
you
is it
think
that
it
Toph
is
told him to?
that Toph even read the text? You know, I don't like it. I don't want to see that fucker again.
Donica, I'm glad you stayed. And she'll just like throw her arms around your bony neck and like squeeze you and like, thank you.
He's like
Thank you.
confused. Like, what the fuck's happening? What? And he would like look, I guess, confused for a moment, and then like return the hug. It's all right. You owe me one.
Yeah, fine.
But you see what I mean now, right? About
Yes, I said you're right. Don't make me say it again.
it's just nice to hear it. One more time, and we'll go.
You were right.
You make your way. You go on the clown train and begin to make your way across London towards Camden to find Underworld. Tess, you've been there before. Did you? I think Underworld is where you went before. Maybe. I can't remember.
That was where I met Toph, I think, earlier tonight.
Yes. Yeah. So you've been there and back. I need to roll something. You are just approaching the entrance to Underworld. There's a stairway that leads down where Underworld would be. And Toph, Siegfried, you've just gone in because there's a queue, okay? And whether you've been waiting for drinks, whether you've just been hanging out or whatever, you see them through the window. But them approaching, someone collides with Donica with a powerful impact. Donica, someone has come out of seemingly nowhere and has grabbed you with both arms.
Definitely had no idea, because usually he's kind of used to now walking around and not being seen, you know? So he
Exactly.
such a shock.
It is a complete shock. You just don't see this coming. And what makes this even weirder is that the man that is now grabbing you, and you see this, the two of you inside, seemingly a human being. And as they sort of pull away from you, it's almost like a weird hug. And you look at this individual who, one eye that seems to just hang lazily on the side as if it's an eye almost. and you recognize this individual. The man that you punched in the hospital. The one that you hit with the force of an articulated truck. And he says, "It's you. I have found you. I found you. I thought you'd abandoned me, but I found you."
What? What?
The man is doing his best to look at you. One of his, obviously his other eye is sort of looking over here, but this eye is looking directly at you. And all of a sudden, Donica, you feel something. Another intake of breath. Your ghoul has awoken. And that is where we're going to leave it tonight. So guys, as ever, actually, no, you know what? I will explain. I will explain what just happened there, because you may not remember. And I don't know whether this was something that you didn't consider, but when you're in the hospital and you KO'd that guy, distinctly said that you bit into your thumb and put your blood on their wounds. You have yourself a ghoul now.
Oh, wow.
But we'll talk about that another time. For now, we are going to do some XP. So first of all, ladies and gents, you all get 1 for showing up. And I'm just going to bring up the list of the other things. Let's see. I can't remember. I should remember. There's only 3 of them.
I think there's roleplay and heroic, right?
Learning curve. Here we are.
Something we learned, yeah.
Okay, Lionel, why don't you go first? What is Toph's learning curve for this session?
Oh shit, man. That's a tough one on this session. You know,
if you didn't learn anything,
right,
you know, that's fine, but it's up to you.
You know, I'm going to leave it to you guys to decide, because this is my stretch, because I'm not really quite sure if it is a learning curve or not. So he just lost his shit in what is it, downtown? What was it?
Down Street.
Down Street.
Down Street, yeah. And that's something, I mean, they've seen Toph kind of be impulsive and whatnot, but this is the first time he like literally lost his shit in front of them. You know, and what they don't know about Brujah is they are very prone to just go into these rages where they just give in to the beast. And that's not a Brujah that you want to be around when that happens. And he was very close tonight. So I think his learning curve is, as he settled down, and probably the best thing was that Siegfried went with him, because that calmed him, because he didn't say a fucking word to Siegfried the whole train ride, the whole walk to World's End, not a word. Even if Siegfried said something to him, he didn't say anything. It wasn't until after. So I think his learning curve was, you got to keep control of that temper if you want to make the long game work. So he was reminded as he's talking to Sid, you got to keep that long game in mind. And that's why you saw that shift in him. And he was like, "Hey, Siegfried, I'm sorry, man." And he meant it. "Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I've been treating you like shit, and that's not cool." And I would imagine he's chatting him up in the underground as they're waiting in the queue and as they finally get seated. So that's what I think would be the learning curve is. Yeah. And I think it's a learning curve that Brujah struggle with all the time is there's time and place to rage, and you have to find that balance.
Yeah, I think so too. I have another one that can arguably be used for both of you. So what I'll do is we'll have Jeff go next, because I have one for you both afterwards anyway. So you go first, though, Jeff.
So first thing Siegfried learned is that somehow Toph has exceeded his creepy, sleazy expectations even further than ever thought possible. So there's a start right there. But honestly, I think like Siegfried is starting to like learn like about how important connections seem to be in this world. Like he didn't quite because like none of them are in the same clan, so he didn't really kind of put it together how much of a like tying factor that is. And now suddenly like Donica has Fang and they're kind of forming this not partnership but some sort of relationship, and then seeing Toph with Sid, like it's kind of planted that seed in his mind of like if there are people like them and they're watching out for each other and making sure that people are covered and that they have each other's backs, maybe he needs to start thinking about where he might be able to find that. Um, seeing kind of the party erupt into basically open conflict with each other, at least briefly, has kind of put that idea in his mind of like maybe I need some people who will definitely have my back and know where I'm coming from too. So it's kind of planted a seed there.
Definitely, that's fantastic. Yeah. The other thing that I was going to say for both of you, Sid very, very briefly mentioned something known as the Anarch movement, and how if you wanted anything to change, if there's anything like that that you wanted, you would have to build that yourself because something went down with the Anarch movement a long time ago. So that's another thing that you learned as well. Nice job. Tess, Taylor, what did you learn?
Tess learned that they were right, and that the Camarilla is apparently evil. Yeah, no, she's learning kind of who to trust and where to put your loyalties, and figuring out that the kinds of connections and friendships that you make are perhaps more important than she initially thought, especially after seeing Donica just get slammed against a wall when he didn't even have to be there, and he was there to help protect her pretty explicitly. That has made an impact on her.
Definitely. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. Lloyd?
Loads. I always learn about, like me, I learn about Danica kind of, and that just like is not afraid to say what he thinks, and is not afraid to stand up to bastards and tell them that they're bastards, which doesn't work out well, but it's just something in him. Also, learned what it is to diabolarize, which is a fucking weird and great word for it. He has a ghoul, which is super interesting. But I think like the most important thing that he learned is that like he only has these people really that he's like been sired with, I guess, and so he kind of has to look after them, particularly when sometimes they don't seem as to have their head on the same way that he does. And even if that means like standing around and getting the shicky daddy by the sheriff, you got to do it. You got to bite the bullet and help your friends.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Okay, and so you all get a point for that. The next thing is role play moment. So we'll go back to the beginning. We'll go with Lionel. Anyone else would like to contribute? That's what this is for. So I will start this time by saying that I think my favorite bit of role playing from Toph was, I really liked when you were saying that how when he loses his temper, he loses all kind of clarity in what he's talking about. He's such a hothead that he kind of loses the meaning of what he's saying, and I really like that. What other things can we say about with Toph for roleplay today?
I mean, just the whole scene in the freaking pub with him being just like a total sleaze to Siegfried and just being like weird and like touchy with him. Just like openly trying to make him uncomfortable and weird him out. Like even more so than he already is in that place. So just like, yep, that's tough. Like it's just even more tough than I expected, but it fit. It was just disgusting, but good.
I think the sleaze as well, but also like I like the moment where he was like, "Someone has to fucking stay and look after her," which I think like tied into my like or Donica's learning. That was a good moment.
Yeah, I liked Toph interacting with Fang, and that he was genuinely afraid, or at least not like afraid, but very cautious around Fang when he kind of got his hackles up and like knew when to back off because we haven't seen a lot of that from Toph. But to know when to just like take a step back and tell everybody, whoa.
Yeah, perfect. So, Siegfried. Who wants to go first?
I love how like understated and such a straight man that Siegfried is. Like
Yes.
it cracks me up. It is the perfect kind of counter to Toph's hot-headedness and to Donica's inquisitiveness. And Siegfried just kind of takes it all in and every now and then throws out this really wry, no inflection kind of remark. And I love it. And that happened the whole session, basically.
It did.
It's great.
My favorite bit. I'm just going to say my favorite bit from Siegfried was just like, oh, well, you got a job. Like just that bit just really got me. It really, really made me laugh. Anything else for Siegfried?
Like the bit where he was like stuck between going with us and staying with Tess, and like how awkward that is for anyone to have to go through. It's like a real thing that people are stuck with sometimes, and it was really good.
Yeah, I just have to really just add to what Taylor said because he is like the anti-Toph, you know, where Toph is like out there, you see it, there's not a lot of internal dialogue happening. Siegfried's the opposite. He's very measured when he speaks. It's because it's with purpose, not just to fill space like Toph does quite a bit. So I just love the way Jeff plays Siegfried. I thought tonight you role played him like you were starting to see him develop his identity. You know, the others have done that much sooner. I love that I'm starting to see that, and you started that tonight when I saw your role play, Jeff. It was awesome.
Yeah. The other thing, and I mentioned it to Jeff as Jeff was the first person to hang out today. I love that Siegfried has always been the last to do things because he's the one that clings to humanity the most, being a Toreador. So it's just really great, man. So good job. Tess, Taylor, role-playing moments.
Oh, I thought you were asking her to say it.
Oh, no. Everyone else has to say it. I mean, I can go first. I have one already. I'll say my oh. I'll say mine really quickly. My favorite bit from Tess was thank you at the end because that session seemed to have an arc. Like, and I don't know whether you guys did it intentionally,
Definitely.
but it was an arc. Like,
Yep.
from the argument at the beginning to that resolution at the end, it was just perfect. So that was for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say something very similar of just the like having the moment of like, I don't need you guys to watch me. Like, I know what the Camarilla is. That's my kind of people. I'm gonna fit in there. I'm gonna do well there. And just like totally shoving it in everyone's face. Like, I know what I'm doing and I'm gonna do it well and I'm gonna be really damn good at it. And then suddenly the sheriff shows up and it's like, oh shit. I can't hang with this kind of person. Like this is too much. And like just kind of that like ambition being curbed by reality, I think was a really powerful moment of like realizing quite what you're actually up against versus what you thought that you were taking part in.
Sorry. I was gonna say, I loved all those moments, but I also loved the moment when Toph was right in her face like right in her face, pissed as all hell, and she stood up to him. I love that moment. She didn't back down, and she got some backbone, and I really love that because I imagine Toph was like, what the fuck's going on? Why isn't she like backing down here? So I thought that was a great moment, and I think she just further played into that with her conversation with Donica when Toph kind of stamped off like a kid tantruming, and I just thought that really, like you said, it started that arc, Rob, that we saw just play out through the whole session. I just thought that was awesome.
I just really loved the fight that we had. I thought it was really good. It was like snarky and snappy and like mean, which makes sense. We've been through like a lot of shit in a very short amount of time, and like both have very strong opinion on things. It makes sense that there would be like a fight that's so mean, but also the fact that it was fixed at the end. So it was really nice.
Yeah, really good. And finally, Donica.
I love that Donica.
I mean,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say I love the fact that despite like Donica might even hate the Camarilla more than Toph. Like it's hard. It's a toss up, but it's definitely possible. And he's just like there's nothing about him versus the Camarilla that has any sort of connection. He hates them with every single fiber of his being. Yet he still sat down there with Tess to wait for the dang sheriff because he was worried. Like that to me, like really said a lot about who he is. That it's like there's no person he would rather not talk to in his entire life, ever, but he suffered through it anyways because he didn't want her to do it alone.
Yeah, the kind of awkward silence, and also just that Donica doesn't know when to shut up, and his snarky comments with the sheriffs. Like, Donica takes no shit from anybody. He won't take it from Toph, he won't take it from Tess, and he didn't take it from the sheriff, and that got him slammed into a wall. But I love that he is true to form wherever you find him.
I loved the opening scene when Donica finds himself fledgling vampire with this vampire hanging from this chain, and it was just killing me that you just stayed there. But that is so Donica, right? He's got to know. Like anybody else would have said, like we were saying in the chat, get the fuck out of there. What are you doing? Everyone else would have left, right? But not Donica. Donica's like, I'm checking this out. And I just was waiting for something to rise up behind him when he's tipping away at the laptop. And I'm like, he's dead. He's dead. He's dead. But that was so Donica. I love that moment. It was tense. I mean, the rest of us could feel it for sure.
I really enjoyed that moment. In fact, yeah, it was that, and I also really just from my perspective, I enjoyed the being the sheriff talking to Donica in this because Donica, I think it would be rare to find. Donica's really, really good at fighting. He's been put in front of someone who is better than him or is stronger than him. So he's having to rely on different aspects of what he can do and stuff. Obviously, he's skilled in a number of areas as well. But I just really enjoyed that scene, Lloyd. I thought that you did really well in that. And yeah, the beginning was pretty great as well. And there are a number of things that you didn't pick up on, all of you. So I'm looking forward to seeing how those are going to affect the future of this game. So that's XP awarded. Everyone gets full points as per. So that leaves me only to say thank you ever so much for watching. And to those of you after the fact, I've just had a great idea. For those of you who watch this but don't watch it live, why don't you put in the comments what you think these guys' role-playing moments were? Be good to hear from you. Good to hear, what people are thinking of the game. I've got some really great feedback from some people who are really into World of Darkness lately, so that's been really good. So more is good. Anyway,
Before we go, I would argue that Donica gets a heroism point for staying back and for talking shit to the sheriff. because I think if he had not stayed, it would not have gone well for Tess.
Okay. I will say that is true. So yes. Okay. You get another point for heroism.
Yay!
Yeah, because it's when it's not self-serving. So yeah, it's totally right. But yeah. Okay, so there you go. Another point for Donica. There we are. So thank you ever so much for watching live and after the fact. If you like this, give it a like. If you'd like to see more like it, then give me a subscribe or not. We're all friends here, or are we? Take it easy and hope that all of your performances are up to standard. Embrace the night.